Start. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this Saturday, March 7th, 2026. I want to welcome back Karen Meyer, and it's so great to have her back. She's going to be doing lesson 7, the breathing lesson, and her version of the breathing from the book Somatics, written by Thomas Hanna. And I'm going to go ahead and just turn the class over to her and let her carry on. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Susan. And although this is grounded in Thomas Hanna's Myth of Aging series, there is a very strong input and influence from Susan's classes. And so it's a combination of those together with my own experience of the movements. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
In lesson 7, in Thomas Hanna's Myth of Aging series of somatic movement, it's a very advanced practice, enhancing your awareness of the movement of your breathing. It relies heavily upon the softening of your abdominal wall, achieved by becoming familiar with lessons 1 through 6 in his series, and which we have covered over the past few months. Without the suppleness of the sheet-like layers of abdominal musculature, fibrous sheaths, and fascia, the diaphragm does not have freedom to descend, displacing the visceral organs, the stomach, the kidneys, the intestines, and so on, allowing the abdomen to bulge outward. Regular practice and refinement of Thomas Hanna's sequence leading up to lesson 7 releases you from habitual ways of moving, including holding your tummy in and being told to hold it in. A regular practice and exploration of lesson 7's movements will actually change your lungs by keeping them elastic, large, and healthy throughout life. You can teach yourself how to breathe in ways that will dramatically change other internal organs. And as we change those parts of our wholeness, we can reform and reshape ourselves into a new wholeness. Elsa Gindler, a somatic pioneer living in Germany in the 1930s, learned from her own inner experiencing how to breathe very delicately into one lung, so her other lung could be at relative rest. She healed herself from what is now thought to have been tuberculosis or TB through her relation with the inner self. A young teenager, also from Germany in the early 1900s, cured herself of scoliosis, strengthening her spine by expanding her lungs. She was Katharina Skroth. This class with me, Karen Meyer, is an excellent practice to energize your mind, cleanse your lungs, balance and strengthen your nervous system, and tone your digestive organs. It is always important to keep your mouth shut when you breathe in and when you breathe out. Nose breathing slows down your breathing, helping you to draw in 20% more oxygen and reduce levels of carbon dioxide in your lungs. At first, it may feel difficult to organize as you disrupt your unconscious assumptions. This class is a very good practice for those who suffer from asthma and other lung dis-ease, as you are increasing lung capacity and energy levels as you take in more and more air with less and less effort. So what you're going to need for today's class is a space where you can walk around. 3 or 4 steps is sufficient. And you're also going to require a surface to sit on where you can comfortably sit, feeling your sitting bones, so it's firm enough for you to be able to feel your sitting bones, and so that your knees are below your hips and that both of the undersides of your feet are comfortably on the floor. So if you don't have a stool or a chair to sit on, then you may like to have that ready for when we come to that part of the session. And you may like to notice that, and you may be able to see that I have a stool, and then I've noticed actually that since I've been preparing for this class, I've actually added 2 more blankets to increase the height of it, the overall height, because it just feels, clearly I've changed in some way. And so you may like to have some extra blankets in case you'd like to adjust the height that you're sitting at. And if you have proportionally long legs or short legs compared to your trunk, then that will alter the height that you need. And we're also going to be coming to lying down on the floor, and you will need a blanket that is soft but also has some structure for underneath the top of the back of your head, so that you can keep your neck free and long as you're lying down. So these are all materials for you to have to hand. So let's begin walking. And as you are walking, feel the movement in your ribs. And in your shoulders. The swinging in your arms. And where you are feeling your weight in your feet as you are taking each step forward. You're gaining an internal sense. You're gaining an internal sense of the insides of your ankle joints, your knee joints, and your hip joints. And where are you looking on your horizon? And slowly come to standing, feeling your uprightness, and begin to bring your awareness to the movement of your breathing as you are standing. And very slowly transfer a little bit more weight in the direction of your toes, ever so slightly, and notice what's happening in your shoulders in your spine. You may feel an opening in your chest. And then slowly transfer your weight a little bit in the direction of your heels. And you may feel movement in your shoulders, and you may feel a slight curling in on yourself. And then slowly come back to where you feel most upright. Very slowly, transfer a little bit more weight into your left foot and leg, and soften your right leg at your knee, bending your right knee and standing in your left leg. And as you are standing more on your left leg, take a breath in to your left side. The next time in your rhythm that you're taking a breath in, take a breath in to your left side. And then as you are exhaling, breathe out into your right side as you come back up to center. And now go the other way, transferring a bit more weight into your right leg and softening your left knee, bending in your left knee, transferring your weight more so that you're standing in your right leg. And as you're finding an inhalation, breathe into your right side more. And then as you are exhaling and as you're coming back up to center, exhale into the right side of your chest. And as you come back to upright, has anything changed at all? And bring yourself to sitting. So that you can feel your sitting bones and your undersides of your feet are making contact with the floor, and your knees are below your hips. Feel where your weight is in your sitting bones and bring your awareness to the movement of your breathing and where you are looking on your horizon and the uprightness in your spine. And very gently transfer your weight more ahead of you in your sitting bones. You're arching in your back ever so slightly as you do this. And you may feel that you're finding your inhalation, keeping your gaze on your horizon, and then very slowly transfer your weight through your sitting bones until you can feel your weight more towards the behind you in your sitting bones, and you may feel some movement in your shoulders, all the while looking on your horizon, and you may feel that you're curling in a little bit in your front, and then bring yourself back to center, to your upright sitting. And you're tuning into the movement of your breathing. You're feeling this perhaps in your spine, your ribs, your chest, your abdomen. And as you are finding your exhalation, this time bring your sternum down in the direction of your pubic bone. You're curling in slightly, you're contracting in your front, you're feeling your weight behind you in your sitting bones, and you're bringing your sternum, which is your breastbone, right as far as is comfortable for you in the direction of your pubic bone. And then notice what's happening as you do this, and then very slowly release out of that and come to your resting place as you're sitting. And you may like to tap your breastbone. And as you're doing that, you're feeling the upper part of your breastbone where your collarbones are, and all the way down to the base of your breastbone, which is where there's a tip there, which is where your xiphoid process is of your sternum. And you're bringing your attention there, and then just allow your hand to release. And go into that movement again where you're finding your exhalation. And as you are slowly rolling your weight behind you on your sitting bones, curling in on yourself, this time bring your navel in the direction of your spine. Your sternum is moving in the direction of your pubic bone. And you're just exaggerating that movement of your exhalation a little bit more. You're perhaps extending your exhalation. And then very slowly, you're only going as far as is comfortable for you. You're very slowly releasing out of that movement to rest. And you may like to imagine your breathing as an ebb and a flow in the movement of your chest and your lungs and in your abdomen, wherever you feel the movement of your breathing. And place your hand on the left side of your ribs, and so that the palm of your hand is on your ribs, but your fingers are touching your abdomen. And go into that movement again. You may like to motor plan the movement because you're going to be adding in a slight twisting movement as well. So you're going to find, as you're finding your exhalation, you're going to bring your sternum and your pubic bone in the direction of each other. Your navel is, you're drawing your navel in towards your spine, and then you're going to bring your left ribs in the direction of the right side of your pelvis. And as you do that, you may like to trace your left hand across your pelvis, your abdomen and your pelvis to your right thigh as you're doing in that, and then you're going to slowly release. So when you are ready, in your own time, there's no rush at all. As you're finding your exhalation, rolling behind you on your sitting bones, pubic bone and sternum are moving in the direction of each other. You may feel a little hollowing of your sternum towards your spine, navel towards spine, and you're bringing your left hand and your left ribs in the direction of your right side of your pelvis, the opposite side, and then only as far as is comfortable, and slowly reverse out of that movement and come back to upright. And as you're breathing, you're feeling that swelling of your breathing as you take a breath in, and that condensing as you breathe out. And that slight rolling on your sitting bones as you do so. And we're going to go into that same movement again, contracting in your front, you're finding your exhalation, and you're curling in on yourself a little bit, pubic bone and sternum in the direction of each other, navel towards spine. Your left ribs are moving in the direction of your right pelvis. You may like to bring your hand across to your right thigh and hold it there for a moment. If you can hold your exhalation there, if it's comfortable, and take a breath into your right side, expanding it. Feel the expansion. And then as you're slowly releasing out of that movement, you're exhaling into your left side. And rest for a moment. And you're receiving the internal feedback from those movements. And you're now going to go into that movement the other way. You may like to motor plan it before you make it. You're going to place your right hand on your right ribs with your fingers over your abdomen on your right side. And then in your own natural rhythm, as you're finding your exhalation, you're bringing your navel towards your spine. Sternum is going down towards your pubic bone. And you may like to draw if you can feel your diaphragm going into your chest as you bring your right ribs in the direction of your left pelvis. Your right hand may like to trace over to your left thigh and breathe in to your left side of your ribs, your left chest. Feel where the air would like to go. And then as you're releasing out of that movement, slowly you're exhaling into the right side of your chest. And very slowly come back to upright, looking on your horizon with your eyes and feeling the movement in your breathing. How your sitting bones are making contact with the floor. Your sitting bones are making contact with the surface beneath you, and your feet are making contact with the floor. And has anything changed at all? And bring this awareness with you as you come back up to standing and walking, and walk around your space, feeling the movement in your ribs in relation to your shoulders and your pelvis, and where you are looking on your horizon. And motor plan how you're going to bring yourself comfortably down onto the floor. Before you come down onto the floor, so that you're lying on your back with support underneath your head, and in particular the upper bony part of the back of your skull, so that your neck is free to move. And a support underneath you of around an inch or just under an inch is rather a nice surface to support you, to enable you to release into the floor and rest actively as you're lying on your back. And you may like to bring your awareness to your midline from the top of the front of your forehead to your chin, to your breastbone, your navel, your pubic bone, and around and through you to your tailbone, the underside of your pelvis, and up your spine to the top of the back of your neck and to the upper part of the back of your skull. And feel your symmetry, feel your balance either side of your midline, in your shoulders, your shoulder blades, how you are placing your arms, in the left and the right side of your pelvis, and in your feet. Bring your awareness to the movement in your breathing. You may be feeling your breath in your ribs as they make contact with the floor. And as you breathe in, you may feel your ribs a little bit more than when you breathe out. Perhaps you can feel those posterior ribs where your shoulder blades are. And you may be finding space in your posterior ribs. You may feel the broadening and the widening. Your chest and your lungs, they expand as you breathe in, and they expand vertically. They expand transversely across you, and they expand from the front to the back as you are breathing. And your breathing may feel different in this relation to gravity. And let's begin by, with each leg in turn, raise your knees and stand your feet by sliding each ankle towards your sitting bones. And you may feel an adjustment, particularly in your lower back, as you're doing this. And bring your attention to your waistline area and very slowly lift your waistline area a little bit You're arching in your lower back area ever so slightly as you roll your pelvis in the direction of your tailbone. And slowly release out of your arch and come back to rest. And rest for a moment. And do that twice more. And you may like to exaggerate the movement a little bit, or if you have made quite a large movement, you may like to tone that movement down, making it smaller and making it slower. You're finding your inhalation, feeling where your breath would like to go, all the way down to your perineum. And then you're slowly releasing out of that, and you're feeling the movement in your spine. You may be feeling this all the way up and down your spine. You may be moving in your head and your neck. And then complete the one that you're on and stop and rest. Now lower your waistline a little bit. You're bringing your waistline ever so slightly more in the direction of the floor, and you're contracting in your front, and you're bringing your pubic bone and your breastbone in the direction of each other ever so slightly, and then slowly release out of that movement. And go into that movement in your own rhythm twice more. Very, very slowly, very delicately, very gently. And come back to rest. And now bring those two movements together. And you may feel that you're inhaling air into your lungs, and then you are following that movement of your inhalation with lifting your waistline and rolling in the direction of your tailbone. And then you're releasing out of your arch. You're slowly releasing those muscles that run all the way up and down your spine. And you're very slowly lowering your waistline and feeling how your sternum and your pubic bone are moving in the direction of each other. And continue that movement a few more times. Feeling that ebb and flow of your breathing. And you may feel that you're slowing your breathing down as you are breathing in and out through your nose. And complete the one that you're on and stop and rest. And you may like to motor plan this movement before you actually make it. And as you're resting, you may like to lengthen your legs, and that's a lovely practice to completely lengthen your legs as you're resting. That's lovely. And you may like to motor plan this next move. You're going to be raising each of your knees and standing each of your foot once more. And you're going to roll your pelvis in the direction of your tailbone, taking a lovely breath in. And then as you release out of that, and as you bring your waistline closer to the floor, you're going to exaggerate your exhalation a little bit more by bringing your navel towards your spine and your sternum in the direction of your pubic bone. And you're going to feel that hollowing in of your sternum towards your spine. You're going to hold that position, and you're going to hold it there for a while, a little moment, while you breathe into your chest, finding space in your ribs and in your shoulders, your collarbones, wherever you can feel that space for your breath. So when you are ready, raise each knee and stand each foot, and follow the rhythm of your breathing, beginning by raising your waistline ever so slightly and rolling in your pelvis. The air is entering your lungs and you're expanding in your belly and in your ribs. And then slowly release out of that. You're lowering your waistline and you're bringing your navel towards your spine. Your sternum is moving in the direction of your pubic bone, and you're hollowing out your chest slightly. You may actually be feeling your diaphragm moving into your chest more. And while you're there, begin inhaling into your chest. If this is comfortable for you, you're expanding into your ribs. You may feel the air coming into where your collarbones are and around the top of the back of your shoulder blades. It's wherever you may feel that. And then very, very hold that breath there if you can. And then very gently bring that air down into your abdomen by bringing your waistline slightly further away from the floor and rolling towards your tailbone. So you're squeezing that inhaled and held air into the direction of your abdomen, and then just slowly let it out and rest. And it may be that you need to practice this a little bit, and it takes a wee while to become familiar with these new patterns of movement. And you can enjoy your practice in this. So you're lengthening your legs long as you are resting. You are sensing the internal ebb and flow of your breathing. And when you are ready, roll over onto your front. And it's nice to keep your head supported on the surface beneath you as you are rolling over onto your front. Taking your time. And as you come over onto your front, you may like to support your forehead a little bit possibly you've got both of your hands each side of your head. And if it's comfortable for you, turn your head to your left with your left arm bent at the elbow and your left hand near your head, and bring your right arm down your side. And feel the movement of your breathing in this relation to gravity. Notice where you are feeling your inhalation, where the air is coming into your lungs. And what's happening in the rest of you as you exhale, as your lungs are condensing, and as your ribs are retracting. And begin by bringing your attention to your left elbow and your right leg. And you may like to place the fingers of your left hand underneath your right cheek, if that's comfortable. And begin by lengthening ever so slowly and ever so slightly in your right leg. This is a very slow movement. You're leading with your toes. You're lengthening your leg along the floor. And as you do that, you may feel how your left side of your pelvis is hiking a little bit towards your left armpit. And as you're lengthening your leg, you may reach the place where it might want to lift. Don't lift it yet. Very slowly lift your left elbow ever so slightly and feel what's happening in your pelvis as you do that. And then go as if you're going to lift your left elbow, your left arm and hand, and lifting your right leg. And you're just alighting your head and you're alighting your left ribs ever so slightly as you feel as if you're going to be looking over your left shoulder, but you're not actually looking over your left shoulder, but you may feel your left ribs alighting a little bit more. And then you're not actually going into a full back lift. You're very slowly releasing out of that movement, and you're feeling whether your air that's coming into your lungs and coming out of your lungs is perhaps different on one side compared to the other. And then very slowly, as you come back to rest, feel how the left side of your pelvis is adjusting as your leg comes back down to rest at the same time as your left arm. And rest for a moment. And then very slowly and gently turn your head to your right. Very slowly, supporting your head with both of your hands. You can bring your right hand up to the side of your head as well as you're turning. And you're bending your right arm at the elbow. Right hand is near your head, left arm down by your side. And you may like to make a few adjustments as you go over onto this side. And you're going to go into that movement again. And this time, begin by very, very slightly lifting your right elbow. And then start lengthening your left leg. Feel what's happening in your pelvis as you do so. And then very gently and slowly, when your left leg feels as though it would like to lift, Slowly lift your right arm and hand and elbow and alight your head ever so slightly, as if you're going to be looking over your right shoulder, and you're alighting your right ribs, and feel where you'd like to breathe into in your right side relative to your left side. And then you're not actually going into a lift. It's as if you are lifting, and then slowly releasing out of that, feeling what's happening in your pelvis, and then slowly as your leg and your elbow return and your head to the floor, feel how there may be differences in one side relative to your other side, in your abdomen and in your chest as you are breathing. And very slowly bring yourself over, maintaining contact of your head with your supporting surface, if that's possible for you, if that's comfortable, as you roll over onto your back once more. And as you come over onto your back, you may like to make a few adjustments and raise each knee and stand each foot as you do so. And in particular, in this class, you are bringing attention to your sternum and your ribs and your lungs in relation to your abdomen and your pelvis. And you may like to tap your sternum all the way from where your collarbones are in the upper part, all the way down to the lower tip of your sternum where your xiphoid process is. And you're calling attention and intention to your sternum, and just allow your arm to rest by your side. And if we become less mobile, we can lose the mobility of our sternum. And so these movements are that we're going to be going into are a lovely way to increase the mobility in your sternum and also in your ribs, and at the same time giving greater flexibility in the movement of your lungs and ease of movement. Begin by bringing your left hand and resting it over the upper part of your chest with your fingers over the top part of your sternum, resting your arm there and your hand, and very gently you'll tap the upper part of your sternum so that you're bringing attention there, and your right arm, so you're just resting your left arm where it's comfortable and leaving it there. And your right arm is slightly away from your side, and begin by very gently lifting your waistline slightly, rolling in your pelvis. You're taking a lovely, relaxed breath in, very slow, very gentle, very easy. You're rolling in the direction of your tailbone, And then as you are finding your exhalation, roll your right arm into your side and direct your shoulder in the direction of the upper part of your sternum. And at the same time, you're drawing your navel towards your spine and you're hollowing in your sternum towards your spine. And then very slowly release out of that. You're finding your inhalation. You're rolling your right arm and you're bringing your shoulder and your shoulder blade behind you and in the direction of the upper part of your ribs and spine as you're rolling in the direction of your tailbone, and then slowly release out of that and rest for a moment and pause. Move your left hand to lower down in your pelvis, to lower down in your sternum where your xiphoid process is, and tap there ever so gently, calling attention to that area, and rest your hand there wherever it's comfortable for you. Your fingers are resting gently over that area. And as you're finding your exhalation in your own rhythm, you're bringing your waistline closer to the floor. Navel is moving towards spine. Sternum and pubic bone are moving in the direction of each other. You're hollowing your breastbone towards your spine as you're rolling your right arm in. Your right shoulder is moving in the direction of the lower part of your sternum. And then slowly release out of that. And as you're releasing, you're finding your inhalation, you're rolling your right arm out, and you're bringing your shoulder and your shoulder blade in the direction of your lower ribs in your back. And then slowly release out of that and rest. Bring your left hand lower down to the center of your pubic bone, resting your left hand there and tapping your fingers gently over the center of your pubic bone, and then rest your hand there. And when you are finding your exhalation, you're lowering your waistline. Your navel is moving towards your spine, sternum and pubic bone moving in the direction of each other. You're hollowing out your sternum towards your spine as you're rolling your right arm in and aiming your right shoulder in the direction of your pubic bone. And you may be feeling how your diaphragm is moving more into your chest area, slowly releasing out of that as you're finding your inhalation, lifting your waistline, rolling towards your tailbone as you're rolling your arm and you're aiming your shoulder and your shoulder blade in the direction of your tailbone. And you're focusing your inhalation into the right side of your lungs and the right side of your chest, and then slowly release out of that movement and rest. And to lengthen your right side a little bit more, lengthen your right leg along the floor and shorten your left side by hiking your left hip towards your left arm, and you're squeezing your left ribs in the direction of your left side of your pelvis. And you may like to shrug your right shoulder up a little bit towards your ear, ever so slightly, and really lengthen your right side. And then slowly release out of that. And standing your right foot once more and raising your knee. And we'll go into those same movements on the other side. Your left arm is away from the side, from your side a little bit. You're bringing your right hand onto your upper right side of your chest, and bring your fingers resting your hand so that you're more in the middle of your sternum. And you're tapping there, bringing attention there. Just rest your right hand, and you're focusing your breathing this time into your left side. And as you're finding your exhalation, your navel is coming towards your spine, sternum and pubic bone moving in the direction of each other. You're hollowing out in your sternum. You're feeling how your sternum is sinking a little bit. And at the same time, you're rolling your left arm in and aiming your left shoulder in the direction of the center of your sternum. And then slowly releasing out of that. And as you're releasing out, you're inhaling into your left side, focusing there. Your left shoulder and shoulder blade is aiming towards the center of your spine, where your shoulders are in your back, and you're feeling the movement of your sternum as you're breathing in and rolling in your pelvis towards your tailbone, and slowly release out of that movement and rest. Bring your right hand lower down to where your navel is, resting your right hand there gently on the right side of your abdomen, with your fingertips gently rubbing around your navel, and then let your hand rest there. And again, as you are finding your exhalation, feel how your navel, as your navel is moving towards your spine, sternum and pubic bone moving in the direction of each other, you're feeling that hollowing in your abdomen and in your chest. You're rolling your left arm in, you're bringing your left shoulder in the direction of your navel. You may be feeling how your diaphragm is moving up into your chest, and then slowly releasing out of that. You're finding your inhalation, you're inflating the left side of your lungs, you're focusing where you are finding space, perhaps underneath your shoulder blade, perhaps into your collarbones, and you're bringing your left shoulder and shoulder blade in the direction of your lower ribs. And then you're feeling how your sternum is filling out into your hand, your abdomen, and then slowly release out of that to rest. And to lengthen your left side, lengthen your left leg along the floor, and hike up the right side of your pelvis, and squeeze together your right side of your pelvis with your right ribs, shortening on that right side. And at the same time, you're lengthening with your left leg and you're bringing your left shoulder, shrugging it a little bit in the direction of your ear, feeling that length in your left side, and then slowly releasing out of that and bringing both of your legs long and rest. And you're giving yourself a sensory interlude to feel the expansion, perhaps all the way from your skull, your neck, your chest, your shoulders, all the parts of your ribs, and into your lungs, and into your upper back, down through your abdominal region, the sides of your pelvis, to your legs and your feet. You're creating space. And you're allowing your lung capacity to grow. And we'll go into one more movement, which can be very interesting and may take a little bit of time to learn the pattern and to become familiar with the pattern. Begin by raising each knee in turn and standing each foot. And go into your natural flow of breathing. And you're lifting your waistline. You're going into a very gentle arching in your lower back, rolling towards your tailbone. And then very slowly releasing out of that. You're bringing you're lowering your waistline closer to the floor. Pubic bone and sternum are moving in the direction of each other as you're shortening in your front. And you may be feeling this movement all the way up and down your spine to the top of the back of your head as you are continuing with that movement. And go into that a few times. And make it soft. Make it easy. And then complete the one that you're on and rest for a moment. And you may like to lengthen your legs, or you can keep your knees upright, standing if you like. It's whatever is comfortable for you. And you may like to motor plan this movement before you're going to make it. You're going to be finding your exhalation, and as you are finding your exhalation, you're going to bring your navel towards your spine in the same way, sternum towards pubic bone, and you're really going to hollow out your chest and your sternum and your abdomen. You may be feeling how your diaphragm is moving more up into your chest. And then you're going to pause there. You're going to then shorten in your right side. So you're going to bring together your right pelvis and your right armpit in the direction of each other. And then you're going to breathe and expand into the upper left side of your chest. And then hold it there and bring that held, breathed in air in the direction of your lower right abdomen by shortening your other side. And so you're going to be shortening in your left side and squeezing your left shoulder blade towards the floor a little bit, and feel how the air may come into the direction of your abdomen. So let's go into that movement. So begin by raising each knee in turn and standing each foot. And go into your own rhythm of, of the movement of your breathing. And as you're finding your exhalation, bring your sternum in the direction of your pubic bone. Navel moves towards spine. And shorten in your left side. So you're bringing together your left side of your pelvis and your left ribs. And then take a lovely breath into your upper right side of your chest. You're expanding into there, into your shoulder blade area and around your collarbones, and hold it in. And then direct that towards your left side of your abdomen by squeezing in your right shoulder blade towards the floor. You're shortening in your right side, and you may be squeezing the air in the direction of your left lower abdomen, and then just let it release and rest. For a moment. And let's go into that movement in reverse. So this time you're going to go into your inhalation. You're going to take a lovely breath in, rolling towards your tailbone. And as you do that, you're going to go slightly over your midline into your left side of your pelvis so that you're feeling your weight there more on the left side of your pelvis. And at the same time, you're shortening in your right side. And hold that breath there in your lower left side of your abdomen. And then as you may feel how the weight is shifting on your pelvis as you shorten your right side, and you're squeezing that air in the direction of your upper right chest, and then just let it release slowly and gently, and rest. Allowing your legs to go long. And in this practice, you may take a few moments when you go to bed tonight, lying on your back, and feel whether your abdomen comes up and out a little more softly. And feel your abdominal wall from your mid-chest all the way down to your perineum, soft, long, and without any inhibition to your breathing. It's like not being afraid. And with this awareness, taking your time, slowly bring yourself back to upright, perhaps rolling on your side. Taking your time. You may like to use the support from your chair to bring yourself to upright. And take your time. You may like to pause halfway before you fully bring yourself to upright. You're integrating this new information that you have given yourself. And you've been working with the motor sensory cortex of your brain. That can take information in slowly and reorganize all of your functioning systems. And as you come to upright, go walking very gently. Feeling the movement in your ribs and in your shoulders, your arms, and your pelvis, as all the while you are looking on your horizon. And as you take each step forwards, bring this awareness into the rest of your day. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Let me make some adjustments. I am going to stop the recording, so thank you very much. Those of you that would like to stay for discussion, please do. I'm having a little trouble talking. I'm so much inside myself. But thank you, everyone, and hope to see you next month. So I'll say goodbye for now.